Cheops is a mystery. He is the builder of one of the greatest monuments in the world, but the only statue we have of him is tiny. His name is one of the most recognizable in ancient history, but we know almost nothing about his life. He was worshipped like a god, but had the reputation of a tyrant. Who was Cheops? A genius before his time, or a mad tyrant? We will never have a definitive answer, but we can at least try to better understand the man behind one of the great wonders of the ancient world. Son of his nephew, Cheops, who from now on I will call by his Egyptian name, Khufu, must have been around 20 years when he came to power. He wasted no time in trying to surpass his father's legacy. Military expeditions were sent to Sinai to acquire wealth, and the new king immediately ordered the construction of what would be, for several centuries, the largest building in the world, the Great Pyramid. It is assumed that 20 years were necessary for the construction of this monument, and, as I have already explained in this video, contrary to popular belief, the pyramid was not built by slaves. Until today, we are not 100% sure how the Egyptians were able to build such a wonder. However, a French architect, Jean Winand, proposed a theory that I personally think has solved this mystery. According to him, another ramp was used to build 30% of the monument, and then an inner spiral ramp were used to transport the stone blocks to the heights. Inside the pyramid, we can find 3 rooms: the king's, the queen's, and the underground room. Unfortunately, the king's room was looted, and no treasure or mummy was ever found. However, it is known that the queen's room had symbolic functions, as it never hosted a mummy. Perhaps the king was buried elsewhere, or there are secret rooms that are waiting to be discovered. And to be clear, there is no evidence to suggest that the pyramids were built by aliens or Atlanteans. None. Nothing. Rien. Nada. And please, don't use the stupid argument that, yes, there is evidence, but the government is trying to hide it for some reason. I have looked at all those conspiracy theories, and I can guarantee they don't make any sense. And if you believe in this sort of things, sorry, but you are an idiot. Maybe someday I will make a series of videos unmasking these scammers, but for now, accept that the pyramid was built by Egyptians, or get out. I don't want you here. By the gods, how much I hate those idiots. Anyway, we talked a lot about the pyramid, but who was the man behind its construction? We only have 3 written sources that speak about Khufu. The best known are the Herodotus records, where the king is described as a tyrant who led his kingdom into bankruptcy and, to finance his pyramid, closed the temples and forced his daughter to prostitute herself in exchange for money and stones. Another Greek historian, Diodorus Siculus, agrees with this version of history and adds that Khufu's name was so hated that the priests refused to pronounce it. Today, almost no historian takes the accusations of Herodotus or Diodorus seriously. We know that for centuries, Khufu was worshipped like a god, and if he brought Egypt into bankruptcy, how did his descendants manage to build new pyramids? The bad reputation that he had among Greeks and Romans probably came from the horror that the intellectuals of these civilizations had against it, the notion of hubris, pride, and the desire to surpass the gods. The other source that we have is a legend told by the Westcar Papyrus, text written during the Middle Kingdom and tells stories of famous kings of the Old Kingdom. By the way, I have better explained the origins of this document in this video. Let's read the tale of Djedi, the magician, and see what we can learn. Prince Hordadef stood before the king and he said, "Your Majesty has heard tales regarding the wonders performed by magicians in older days, but I can bring forth a worker of wonders who now lives in the kingdom." King Khufu said, "And who is he, my son?" "His name is Djedi," answered Prince Hordadef. "He is a very old man, for his years are 110. Each day he eats a joint of beef and 500 loaves of bread and drinks 100 jugs of beer. He can smite off the head of a living creature and restore it again. He can make a lion follow him, and he knows the secret of habitation of the god Tut, which your Majesty has desired to know, so that you may design the chambers of your pyramid." King Khufu said, "Go now and find this man for me, Hordadef." The prince went down to the Nile, boarded a boat, and sailed southward until he reached the town called Desnefru, where Djedi has his dwelling. He went ashore and was carried in his chair of the estates towards the magician, who was found lying at his door. When Djedi was awakened, the king's son saluted him and bade him not to rise up because of his years. The prince said, "My royal father desires to honor you. One will provide for you a tomb among your people." Djedi blessed the prince and the king with thankfulness, and he said to Hordadef, "Grandest be thine. May your Ka have victory over the powers of evil, and may your Khu follow the path which leads to paradise." Hordadef assisted Djedi to rise up, and took his arm to help him towards the ship. He sailed away with the prince, and in another ship were his assistants and his magic books. "Health and strength and plenty be thine," said Hordadef, when he again stood before his royal father, King Khufu. "I have come down stream with Djedi, the great magician." His Majesty was well pleased, and said, "Let the man be brought into my presence." Djedi came, and saluted the king, who said, "Why have I not seen you before?" "He that is called Omukumeth," answered the old man. "You have sent for me, and I am here." "It is told," King Khufu said, "that you can restore the head that is taken from a live creature. I can indeed, your majesty, answered Jedi. The king said,
Then let a prisoner be brought forth and decapitated.
I would rather it were not a man, said Jedi. I do not dwell even with cattle in such a manner. A duck was brought forth, and its head was cut off, and the head was thrown to the right, and the body to the left. The Jedi spoke magic words. Then the head and the body came together, and the duck rose up, and quaked loudly. The same was done with a goose. King Khufu then caused a cow to be brought in, and his head was cut off. The Jedi restored the animal to life again, and caused it to follow him. His Majesty then spoke to the magician and said,
It is told that you possess the secrets of the dwellings of the god Thoth.
I do not possess them, but I know where they are concealed, and that is within a temple chamber at Yunu. There the plans are kept in a box, but is no insignificant person who shall bring them to your majesty.
I will then know who will deliver them unto me.
King Khufu said. Jedi prophesied that 3 sons would be born to Hudjet, wife of the chief priest of Ra. The eldest would become chief priest at Yunu and would possess the plans. He and his brother would one day sit upon the throne and rule over all the land. King Khufu's heart was filled with gloom and alarm when he heard the prophetic words of the great magician. The Jedi then said, What are your thoughts, O king? Behold, your son will reign after you, and then his son. But next, one of these children will follow. King Khufu was silent. Then he spoke and asked,
When shall these children be born?
Jedi informed his majesty, who said,
I will visit the temple of Ra at that time.
Jedi was honored by his majesty, and there afterwards dwelt into the house of the prince Hordadef. He was given daily for his portion an ox, 1,000 loaves of bread, 100 jugs of beer, and 100 bunches of onion. The papyrus continues and tells us the story of these children of Ra. However, let us stop here for now. We can see that the portrait of Khufu is much more nuanced than the one described by the Greeks. On the one hand, the king is a ruthless man, capable of sacrificing a prisoner to make a test. But, in the other, he is described as a curious, reasonable, and generous person. He accepts Jedi's indignation and his alternative offer to the prisoner, questions the circumstance and content of Jedi's prophecy, and reward the magician after all. Alas, the Westcar papyrus shows us the Egyptians' view of Khufu many centuries after his death, but cannot help us understand who was the man behind the legend. Even the pyramid, his greatest achievement, bears no inscriptions and very little decorations. Perhaps his mortuary temple would be able to help us, but unfortunately, he too has disappeared. But there is still hope that one day we will know better Khufu's life. In 2015, a secret gallery, large enough to contain an airplane, was discovered inside the pyramid. We have no idea what is inside and how we'll be able to access it. But maybe the king's mummy and his story await us.